Here is a deadly mistake beginners make when it comes to doing anything new. So, fitness, content creation, business, sports, finance, you name it, a talent or hobby or something new that you're trying out, this is going to apply to you. So listen up. Like I said in the thumbnail, the 1% rule that you've probably heard a lot of people talk about is kind of true. I don't think that is what people should be focusing the majority of their time on getting 1% better. In my mind, I think the 80-20 Pareto Principle is much more applicable and can be much more impactful for beginners. So let's dive into it. You've probably heard about getting 1% better every day, but I'm here to tell you that this rule or theory is destroying your progress and slowing you down. I'm in no way saying I don't believe in the 1% theory. However, I am saying that you should not be worried about this until you are really, really, really good at what you do. For example, let's take anyone who is starting something new and we'll use a scale of 0 to 100. When you are a beginner, you are a 0. Absolutely no talent or ability in that thing. 100, expert. So keep that in mind as we walk through the 1% rule and the Pareto Principle. In my mind, the first thing you need to master is the 80-20 rule or Pareto Principle. A quick summary of this theory is that the Pareto Principle, often known as the 80-20 rule, is a concept that suggests that roughly 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. Named after economist Vilfredo Pareto, who originally observed that 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the population, this principle has been applied to various fields such as business, where it implies that 80% of sales come from 20% of customers. Or time management, where 80% of results come from 20% of effort. Essentially, it highlights the idea that a small proportion of inputs or activities are often responsible for a large proportion of outcomes or results, underscoring the importance of focusing on the most impactful factors. The 1% better rule is a concept centered on the idea of making small incremental improvements consistently over time. The principle suggests that by striving to improve just 1% each day, these small gains compound and lead to a significant progress over the long term. This approach emphasizes that continuous minor enhancements can be more effective and sustainable than attempting drastic changes. By focusing on small, manageable improvements, individuals or organizations can achieve substantial overall growth, making the process of development less daunting and more achievable. The 1% better rule became very, very popular, or has become widely published by a lot of other thought leaders. In the book Atomic Habits, James Clear walks through the story of the British cycling team who used this method to turn their cycling team from the laughingstock of cycling to Olympic champions, world champions. Not super fluent in cycling, so sorry to all those that know I'm getting this wrong. But this method led to substantial improvements over time and notable success. Clear extended this idea into personal development and productivity, emphasizing that small, consistent improvements, just 1% better each day, can lead to significant long-term results. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because if you only focus on getting 1% better, you will likely not succeed. You will squander your most important resource, which is time. And I think a lot of people, we need to get results as quickly as possible. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be patient, but my theory, when all these people are telling you all these biohacks and small tips and tricks, these are helpful once you are in the top, I would say 80th percentile. Once we are no longer beginners and we are above average moving into expert territory. That is where I believe the 1% better rule can really come into play. So let's go back to our 0 to 100 scale of proficiency. 0 being really poor, 100 being the best in your field or category. In order to be successful in life, you really only need to be better than 80% of your competitors in order to thrive. So I strongly believe that there are 4 key fundamentals that will make up 80% of this, each of them accounting for 20%, while the last 20% will then require 20 things to get you to 1%. So to help illustrate this, I've wrote it down. You can see here, 80%. Each of those 4 things are going to make up 20% to get you to 80%, the 80th percentile. Think of the fundamentals. So we're gonna circle back to this here in a second. But the British cycling team, they were already professional athletes. They were already in the top 1% of cyclists. So with that being said, this is why the concept of 1% better had to be implemented for them. They needed to get 1% better because, you know, if you just watch the Olympics, the difference between first place, second place, and third place is like literally 0.1 seconds, 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds. It's crazy. So that is where the 1% better rule clearly is true and can be implemented. However, for many people watching this and just your average person, we are beginners. Beginners at fitness, beginners at bodybuilding, beginners in content creation, beginners at running our own business, you name it. Social media is notorious for highlighting the ways to get 1% better at input whatever you're working on. For example, fitness, ice baths, athletic greens, creatine, which creatine, there are studies that show it helps you get 1% better. Not saying that these things are not good things to be applying, but what I am saying is that you should first be focusing on the fundamentals of your industry or of your hobby, whatever it is. In fitness, if you're trying to increase your strength and physical fitness, anyone would probably tell you focus on push-ups, pull-ups, squats, and like jogging or getting your steps in. 4 items that will make up 80% of your results if focused on. Content creation. Post regularly. Give value or entertain. Know your audience. Optimize your profile. So many people want to start focusing on optimizing their thumbnail, optimizing the edits, optimizing the first 3 seconds of a video. Now, maybe we could debate that the first 3 seconds of a video makes up 20% of skill level in somebody that's starting to make content. But most of those people that are watching all of these videos about how to become a better content creator, how to become a better speaker, are not even posting content to begin with, or they're not even speaking regularly or like talking in public or getting enough reps in. Identify what those 4-ish things are that will make up 80% of your results. Once you feel that you're an 80% overall or an 80 out of 100 when it comes to your proficiency, that is when you can then begin to explore the 1% ways to level up. Work smarter, not harder. Don't overcomplicate your life, fitness, nutrition, business, finances. I promise you that the fundamentals work. Basketball, shoot, dribble, pass, defend. Finance, budget, emergency fund, invest 20% into assets, learn to scale your income. It's really not that complicated. I want to apply this to why I think it's important to get into the 80th percentile or in the top 20% in 2022 average annual wages in the United States. Top 20% were between $80,000 to $85,000. So, if you are making between $80,000 to $85,000, you are in the top 20% of the United States. If you're not there yet, you don't have the skills or the talent or the ability in your profession to scale. Top 15%, $95,000 to $100,000. Top 10%, $120,000 to $125,000. Top 5%, $170,000 to $175,000. When it comes to income, get to that top 20% and then start focusing on it. You know, I see a lot of people on these YouTube channels that are watching all these gurus on how to get rich quick. Those people aren't even making $85,000 a year. First, you've got to learn how to make basic amounts of money before you can begin to scale. That's why people that win the lottery, usually go bankrupt. They don't know, they don't have the behaviors, they don't have the right habits to learn how to deal with money. So, it's another way of applying this principle. If you do the 4 things that will make you better than 80% of others in your field, you can more than likely be achieving this kind of money. From there, that is when you can look into the 1% of things to level up more. Identify those 4 things that will make up 80% of your skill level, your time, your abilities. Then identify what are those other little things that you can be doing to level up incrementally. As I start my new business, this is something that I am trying to apply. I could be getting really caught up in designing some cool hats, designing some cool t-shirts or hoodies for my business, for my brand, make us look good. Videos, I could get really caught up on perfecting the script, perfecting the edits, making sure the thumbnail is prestigious, making sure that my hooks, those first 3 seconds, are perfect. I am not saying that those would not help. However, for me, I have identified that those 4 things are going to be consistent quality content that educates, entertains, and then help clients get results. And teaching the fundamentals of marketing to these small businesses. This simple habit, we do social media marketing, social media content creation. We teach small businesses how to do it. Many companies are outsourcing marketing, outsourcing their social media. It's a complete waste of money, in my opinion. Social media needs to be authentic. It needs to be real. It needs to come from the source. It's not something you can outsource. With that, we're teaching people how to utilize this tool to get results, which is, in my mind, making money. And by doing these simple things of producing high quality content that is educational and entertaining, ourselves here at Marathon Marketing Group, teaching the fundamentals of marketing to our clients, and then helping them get results, this is going to make us 80% better than our competitors. Once we are able to get into the top 20% of marketers in the state of Utah, then we are going to start leveling up and looking at how we can start getting 1% better. But until then, we are going to work smarter, not harder. I love the book, The One Thing. What's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Simplify your business, simplify your life. Business for us, content, outbound, so sales, reaching out to people, talking, networking. 3, we got to study our craft. We've got to become the experts when it comes to social media marketing. We need to know what is going on. And 4, kind of says with the outbound network. We got to be in the right rooms. We got to be connecting with the right people. We've got to get in front of the right business owners. That way they hire us, and that way they trust us, and that way we can work with them. I think it's super fun. All these social media marketing people, and this is why we're so focused on building content and building our pages. You know, we're relatively new, so obviously not where they need to be. But all these companies, they're like, "Oh, we do social media marketing," and I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome! Like, let me see your page. Like, practice what you preach." Oh, well, we don't really post on our page very much. So you tell me you can't even manage your own social media, but you're going to go manage other people's. Doesn't make any sense. Stupid. Fitness, 4 things: nutrition, hydration, workout daily, sleep, and stress. Those are the 4 things. Spiritual, pray, scriptures, helping others, being Christ-like, being a good person. Throw church in there. We can debate. Identify what these 4 things are for you, and then don't miss at them. The 1% stuff is great, but it's all a bunch of noise, and it can be distracting from you actually getting any better or getting anywhere. We want to make the most amount of progress in the least amount of time as possible. If you want to take some ice baths, drink your greens, and do all these little tiny things for your fitness and nutrition, but then are neglecting sleep, limiting your stress, and actually working out consistently, like, we're not going to get anywhere. You can drink your athletic greens You could be taking creatine for 5 years and literally see almost no difference. So identify the 4 things in your life that are going to move the needle. Focus on that. And then once you are consistently doing those and you're 80% there, then we can start focusing on getting 1% better.